What's up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo's Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker trailer breakdown.
Make sure that you hit that like button and share it with all your friends.
And we want you to subscribe too, and of course hit that bell so you see when we have new videos.
The teaser trailer begins with, you hear some heavy breathing, which was very reminiscent to me of The Force Awakens when you hear Finn breathing heavy. Also on a desert planet, so
Oh, yeah, I had forgotten about that.
you know, they're drawing some parallels to The Force Awakens, and then we hear a voiceover, Luke Skywalker trying to sound very hardened. He says, "We have passed on all we know."
Now, is this a ghost Luke?
Wait,
Is he,
is that a Batman voice?
Yes. We're assuming it's a ghost Luke since he did die in the last movie.
Now, how ironic would that be if Luke, who plays the Joker, did a Batman voice?
That would be awesome.
That's
That
a
is
weird
good
twist.
catch.
If they could
I
tie
am
in
the
DC
knight.
with this, that'd be great.
We have passed on all we know.
Okay, so what I think about this scene, if you're not ready to move on,
No,
is that this is a training. I think this was a planned sequence. I don't think it's he's discovering her on the planet. The way she runs and positions herself to run perfectly and then jump right when it gets there, I think it's all training.
I disagree with you fully.
Okay.
Everything that you said, I completely disagree with it.
She isn't running away from it.
Wait,
she
wait,
doesn't
wait.
flip over it.
You don't know that it's Rey. Is that what you're telling me?
I disagree that this is Rey, that it is a Star Wars. No, I don't think it's a training. I think that what is actually happening here is she still has that connection with Kylo Ren, and I think she knew that he was coming. I don't think what was left of their little ragtag team managed to steal a TIE fighter and is driving it at her for training, and I think that she's literally just using what sort of force abilities that she has acquired from her own training by herself.
So
She's doing this on her own.
She's really in a battle there.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think because you saw how psychotic Kylo got at the end of the last movie, how he was willing to just shoot everything to kill Luke, right? I think he's still nuts.
So you think he's still going after her?
Oh, yeah,
He
I
wants her
absolutely
dead.
do.
Now, it does finish. Luke says 1,000 generations live in you now, but this is your fight. So they are trying to set it up to seem like this is a fight, basically.
So she's basically the Avatar now, the 1,000 generations.
Yes. When I heard that, I'm like, at first thought, okay, this is your fight against the Empire. This is your fight to, take out Kylo Ren.
Yeah, your turn.
But I have since started to believe that it's her inner struggle fight.
Oh.
Because there's theories out there that she was basically put on Jakku by the Emperor, and he was like kind of a contingency plan if something ever happened to him, and she was going to maybe be an apprentice. And because we do see in Force Awakens when they say it was a girl who did this, Kylo freaks out. So maybe he had some inside knowledge about the Emperor's plans on Jakku, and that's why when he found out it was a girl who was kind of doing this, he knew it was Rey.
That's an interesting theory.
So when he told her in The Last Jedi that her parents were drunks, probably not the truth, but trying to persuade her to come over to the dark side and train with him.
And how weird would it be from somebody from the dark side of the Force to lie?
That would go against their basic principles.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely didn't happen.
No one from the dark side has ever lied. But then
Straight
again, it's just it was the truth from a certain point of view.
Yeah, from a certain point of view.
And then Dave kind of already talked about it. You see Kylo's TIE interceptor, at least we think it's Kylo's TIE interceptor, flying at her. She's running from it. He gets close. She flips over. But when she's standing there, you do notice she has Luke's lightsaber and Han's blaster at her side. So she is basically kind of looking like the last hope for, I don't want to say the resistance or the rebellion.
There's not much left of them, so
Yeah.
she might
Whatever
very
they
well
are
be.
now.
It's
Yeah.
really her against basically
The entire are they still the First Order?
the First Order.
Okay.
And the Knights of Ren would be
The
somewhere
Nazis.
in this movie. I would
Space
think.
Nazis. That's who she's going up
Well, and we
against.
do, we kind of see a ship flying over a planet. Can't really tell. I didn't recognize the ship or the planet.
Could be underwater.
It looked like Mustafar a little bit at first, where Vader's castle was from Rogue One, but not enough. There's like a city there, and So I'm not really sure where it is. But then we see Kylo fighting in the forest, and it looks like he's fighting the Knights of Ren, who he used to lead. So there's, to me, very possible there's going to be, it's not going to be just light versus dark in this. There may be some different factions of the dark side going against each other.
I would really like to see them explore that. I would love to see them explore different aspects of the Force in general, but that would be really cool to see.
A gray area, if you will.
A gray area, absolutely.
Well, it doesn't even have to be gray, per se, because...
But no, what you're saying, like different factions of the dark side, that would be really interesting. Like, instead of just pure dark side cheese evil, you know, now we've got different layers of it, basically.
And it would make sense. I mean, the power of two, or the rule of two, where every Sith Lord has an apprentice, and that's it. They don't. So it could be two Sith Lords with their apprentices vying for the First Order power, or maybe something that we see, because we do see later on, and this is kind of once again foreshadowing to later on in this thing. We see the downed Death Star from Return of the Jedi, and maybe there's some Emperor artifacts on there that two sides of, two different Kylo versus the Knights of Ren and whoever leading them are both going after, and Rey and her group are going there to try to stop them.
And you know what's really cool about that? The way they set that up in the first two movies. Oh yeah, they didn't.
Now that downed Death Star, was that the first one or the one from Return of the Jedi?
I thought it was from Return of the Jedi.
So would that be on the Forest Moon of Endor?
Yes, it would have to be somewhere.
There's a debate as to where it is. Yes. It could be on Endor. I'm leaning towards Endor myself, because that's basically where right there, the Emperor would land. Yeah. He was on the Death Star, when he got thrown off or whatever. But that's where the Death Star was that he was on. So it's not going to be. What was the other planet?
It's also where the supposed shield generator was.
Yavin 4.
If it even really exists. I never did. I never did know for a fact if there really was a shield generator on that moon or not, or if the entire thing was a farce. But yeah, it would make sense that that would be the one place I would land, and make all the poor teddy bears go extinct with this.
Well, and yeah, it looks pretty desolate when you see that scene. And if a Death Star crashed on your planet, it would have some devastating effects.
Yeah.
Probably.
And maybe that fight that Kylo's having is on Endor because they're in the woods.
Because they are in woods, yeah.
So.
And we see then Kylo's helmet getting fixed up. I think that's JJ kind of bringing that back into the fold. We like our evil villains that have helmets.
Yeah.
And Poe and Finn, we see them walking. It looks like a desert planet again, maybe the same one Rey was on earlier. We get a quick shot of BB-8, Lando and Chewie coming out of hyperspace in the Millennium Falcon. A lot of fan service shots to bring all the characters in. And then we see a battle scene on a desert planet. Could be the same one. We see some speeder bikes, it looks like.
Well, if it is a desert planet, I'm in the mood for some blue milk. So if you could,
you want some Tatooine, huh?
I do, yeah. If we could just make a quick pit stop.
Then we see a scene with someone holding Han's medal from A New Hope.
That was pretty cool.
I think it's Leia. I think it's over her back shot. I mean, who else would have it?
It certainly wasn't Chewbacca's, because he didn't get one.
Well, and if it is Leia who has it, is she giving it to someone as Han would have wanted you to have this? And maybe it's Rey. You got to carry. This is your fight now. It's your battle. You got to do what we did back in the day, and carry it on. So I could see that happening, or she could just be selling it for junk money or something. Who knows?
Good.
Yeah, she's out of cash.
Needs some more of that green food.
Needs pizza. Yeah.
And then we see Leia and Rey hugging, and Rey is crying, so they're definitely probably learning Leia's dying some way. Maybe that jump from space back into the ship from The Last Jedi.
Space cancer.
Space cancer.
She sees her as a mother figure. You got more in common than she thought originally. And there has to be some way that they don't have an entire movie of footage of Carrie Fisher.
No.
So there's at some point she's going to have to die somewhere in this movie, and maybe
I'm assuming it's going to be off camera.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Then we have Poe, Finn, C-3PO, BB-8, Chewie, and Rey approaching what we talked earlier, the destroyed Death Star from what I think is Return of the Jedi. And all I thought when I first saw the scene is that Rey is thinking of all the salvage she can get from that. How many of those sweet biscuits can she eat? She's like, oh man, I'm eating good this week.
I do like I was mentioning before the video, I like how they got those 5 separated, and they're operating like a unit and separate from everybody else. They're forming their own bond. Too bad it won't last very long, because at the end of the trilogy, they're going to get a new cast for the next trilogy, probably.
Well, yeah, we have heard rumors that the next trilogy is going to be in the past, Knights of the Old Republic, but that doesn't mean they can't come back to this trilogy and these characters
somewhere down the line.
Or they could, bump it up, several years, and just like what they did with this trilogy, where they bring back Leia, they brought back Luke and Han and all of them, little spots here and there, but they have them lead it into the next cast.
Yeah. And it could even be, when we're getting this Knights of the Old Republic trilogy, if that's what it is, that's 1 year. This other trilogy, this next branch of the Skywalker trilogy is going to be intermingled there, and we'll get multiple movies. They probably won't do that, but they could.
I love it when they take movies from Jessica Jones did it this year. Take it from the same spot but different perspectives. That would be really interesting to me. I would really like that.
And then we get the final scene, the money shot of this thing where you hear Luke saying the voiceover, "No one is ever really gone," and you think he's referring to himself, and then you hear the Emperor.
Several fan theories about that. Is he moving his consciousness between clones? That's one of the theories.
I think that's a possibility. It's been, clones have been brought about so much in here, and he even mentioned in Revenge of the Sith that, his master taught him that death wasn't the end. And there's been rumors that Matt Smith...
I've heard that I've heard the rumor, what you just said, that potentially somehow he found his way off the Death Star and is still alive, even though he was thrown down a
but he's a
reactor
Jedi.
too.
And if you saw Robot Chicken, you saw that guy sweep him up. All right, so he's gone.
Well, he could even have his consciousness move to a body while he's falling. If he knows and he's got clones somewhere and they were close,
Yeah,
he could have pushed it. And if, the rumor of Matt Smith being a potential young Emperor, Palpatine, and he could be the one fighting Kylo for power.
Okay.
And, imagine that if the final scene of Rise of the Skywalkers is basically an Emperor clone battling Kylo. We're so used to seeing, the good's fighting the bad at the end, but now we get
The bad fight.
two bads fighting, and hey, as long as someone goes, the good's winning.
So I think that it is actually going to be a Force Ghost Emperor. I think that just because, we've seen Obi-Wan as a ghost, we've seen Yoda as a ghost, and
Which I hope to see again.
we've seen different versions of Anakin as a ghost.
In the same
including,
movie.
Yeah, in the same movie, right. So, but they never actually laid out any specific rule that I've seen that said that only Jedi or only Force users from the light side can die and become a ghost. So, really, what would be stopping it?
No, it's a Force power, so Sith could definitely do it. Is he doing it to train an apprentice to fulfill his destiny? Because we know that Kylo Ren has talked about fulfilling his grandfather's destiny. Darth Vader. Spoiler alert! Sorry, guys.
Whoa.
What?
But
Whoa,
could this
back
be the Emperor's apprentice? Him training him as a Force ghost to get him to where he needs to be to take over the First Order, or reestablish the Empire as the Emperor wanted it to be.
That could very well be, yeah.
With all this gray area that we're talking about right here, like the Skywalkers would be in the gray area. Do we have time to do that theory, or are we saving it for a minute?
No. It's
Okay. The theory that you were discussing before we filmed was that the Skywalker are, it's not what you expect. It's not an exact person.
The title, The Rise of the Skywalker.
Exactly. It's people who use the Force, but not for Jedi, not for Sith. I like that. It's reminding me of a line, and I'm pulling this out of Smallville, that Jonathan says to Clark, and I'm sorry, but this is what I do. Where he says, not everything is always black and white. Sometimes you have to wander out into the gray areas and do what is best. And that's what the Skywalkers are going to do, right?
if that theory is true, absolutely. They're not going to be, the Jedi Order where they have these strict rules of what you can and cannot do. It'll be more like, hey, go get the job done.
This is right in this situation. Don't stop because of some Jedi rule.
Yeah.
So there have been in previous novelizations, there have been talk about other types of Force users who were not strictly Jedi or were not Sith. So yeah, that could be kind of the idea that they're going with. This is what we were just all discussing prior to this video, that this would be the new branding of basically what these Force users are, Skywalkers, and it could tie very well into what Luke had said in the previous movie, where he said the Jedi must die,
Must end.
must end.
Must end.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, that piece of garbage movie. That he does say that in.
It was an excellent movie, and he should be ashamed for saying that.
I
But I think
60% of the fans say no.
I don't think that is accurate.
I-
But
You don't have.
I think, Dave brought up earlier a character who kind of went to a more gray Jedi, Ahsoka.
Yeah.
For those of you who have followed the cartoons, she showed up in Clone Wars. Well, obviously, she was in the Clone Wars, but she showed up in Rebels.
As well, yeah.
And she fought Vader, and she appeared to live, but we're not exactly sure until the end when she showed up with Hera to move on. So she's still out there. She could still be alive in this time frame, and maybe we will get a live action Ahsoka in this movie.
That would be amazing.
That
She's
would be
an
awesome.
amazing character.
Spoilers: if Darth Maul can still be alive, I mean, come on.
Yeah, if you've seen, well, he's alive in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And Solo.
But he's not alive in Rebels. He was killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Once again, sorry, spoilers. He was
Whoops.
killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi. On TV.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character by far.
When is he going to get his own solo movie?
Solo?
Ah.
There's been talk that
yeah.
he's going to get a Disney Plus show.
Yeah. 10
Which
episodes
Disney
of
Plus,
that, yeah.
movie, anything. Just bring back Ewan McGregor
Ewan
as
McGregor.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think everyone would get behind that.
Oh yeah.
So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you soon.